Again, this is 911 countdown to New World Order. Counting down. Again, we're talking about the end times. We're talking about Armageddon. We're talking about, the future of America and the future of the world, of this country. The Muslims are taking over at 666. In other words, they don't believe that Jesus is the only begotten Son of the Father. That's what that step in. Obama, Hillary, McCain, all the smartest people in the world could not stop the train that's running right now. That started 911. That's globalization, a global economy, one world order. Some call it New World Order. It just can't be stopped because man decided to take the mind of Lucifer. In other words, we got billions and trillions of dollars in reserves. Always have. Always had more reserves and diamonds and all that, rubies and oil, that it didn't have to be all this hate. But who are the people that's hating? The people that cherish that. Who have all the oil? The people that hate Jesus. Hate them. Saudi Arabia. Who is that? Those Lucifer people. Unfortunately, but they have a choice to choose God. But that's the choice they chose. 666. Even all the corruption in the world, the crime, along with it, cannot change. That's 666, Antichrist. And that's what's going on, whether you believe it or not. God already knew that Lucifer, his mind was set to do wrong. That's why he created Jesus. That's why Jesus walked the earth. That's why Jesus is going to return. Because he knows there's going to be a limit, and he's going to have to come back here before we're total annihilate. We have enough bombs right now to blow us to out this space. But that's why Jesus is going to return before that happens. It's going to be Armageddon. The fight over oil, power, the same chaos. China, Russia, even here, United States, we fight within ourselves. Everybody got their own belief, everybody's power struggling. So you can say 911 was an inside job because there's just as many people here in America that hate them, from the president to the vice president. You can always say, everybody always say loose change, InfoWars and all that. They was all in on it, It's a good possibility. It was an inside job. Well, whatever. But one inside job that they missed and don't even have a clue that it was Lucifer that was in their minds to cause all this chaos. He's the number one person that's in charge of all of that. God is allowing it to fulfill his prophecy. We're just giving you just a small hint of what's going to be in the book and the things that we talk about. But you see, 2020, 2050, when it come around, should we be living? If our heart stopped, at least you knew the truth. You're on camera when you're outside. They can keep up with your every word. And, that's called communism. Ain't no need to get paranoid, but that's just how it go. RFID, crime at an all-time high, internet, all that, But that's just man's plan with Lucifer's mind. So just keep in mind, be strong in your presence, as we always say. Look to your future. Forget those things in the past that hurt you, your regrets, your suffering, the things that went wrong. And be global in your thinking. Stand tall. Keep your head up. This is 911 Countdown. You can make it. Amen.